Trust me, I used to psych all.
Trust me, I used to psych all y'all out. All right.
No, I'm saying, hey, good morning. Hey,
Michael
yeah.
Matthews is here. It's Monday. We're surrounded by Michaels.
It's double Mitchin right now.
I don't know how it's going to work out. We're outnumbered.
We just do it, man. We've been outnumbered our whole lives, man. Back against the wall.
There's always been more people around
There's
than
always
me.
been more people than just me.
I've
every
always
time.
been just one person, and then there's other people.
Hey, Michael, I'm looking at him open up the mail, and it looks, really easy to organize. It's a picture of, let me paint a picture for you. He dumped out approximately no less than 50 envelopes. Usually only get one? So we got a big stack right now. There's around 50 envelopes right there.
Can we outlaw junk mail, please?
The question of the day becomes to me in my head that I look at first, which can't dive into, is do you actually physically have to open up all those and then go type something about all of them? A lot of them? No?
I think most of those get thrown away, right?
Yeah, no, I believe that.
Yeah, get them out of here.
And then the checks, you just put them in the bank. Nice. Do we get to digitally deposit those, or do we make you walk down?
Nah, it must be digital deposit, right?
Sometimes you can only put in on it depends what kind of bank we got.
I've never had enough money to hit the
I
limit,
actually
so we'll
haven't
see
either.
what's up, dude.
But I did read that specifically in a bank agreement because I used to bank locally, but they got bought for semi-globally.
Who didn't get bought?
I know,
by
dude.
Semi-globally. That's the way of the world, is to get bought.
Don't think local, think global with Globo Gym.
Global Gym.
That's from Dodgeball. So anyways, Peter Drucker once said, culture eats strategy for breakfast.
Yeah.
Isn't that neat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of quotes like that.
There's a lot of them. But then it goes to if turning values into systems, and systems will maybe turn into habits, and then habits turn into world-class experience. If we took that concept, maybe played with it a little bit, and then ask the question how do values like pride and connection and responsibility become daily behaviors? I got 3 random questions. So
Okay.
just follow me through this, and
Okay.
we can answer them together.
All right.
I haven't answered them,
Let's go.
and
Are these from a person, or you crafted
it's
these
a
out
it's
of
a
your
combo
own mind?
bonus.
Yeah.
It's a combo bonus. I had questions that come in that I slowly gather over time and just put them in things, and we don't always talk about them. And then I tried to formulate some into. I try to do this cross-reference game, which I did use the chat to throw different questions into different pockets, so that I could separate them into three question podcasts relating to
Let's go.
our values or mission. So I was like, let's just do that because whatever, it'd be fun. So it was when values turn into systems, systems turn into habits, and habits turn into world-class experience. So how do values drive profit, culture, and craft will be the concept today. And then the 3 questions that kind of came out of that was kind of the overarching one is what I just said, right?
That's our umbrella here.
Yeah. How do values drive
We're under the
profit,
umbrella.
culture, and craft?
There we go.
So yeah, how do things like pride and connection and responsibility for what we do become daily behaviors in a company like ours?
Here, put that
Where do we
computer
start?
out there. I want to see what
Chow,
you're
chow,
looking
chow.
at, just because it'll
Boom, right there.
it'll-
Top one.
It'll fresh me
Yep.
up right here.
Which those are not our company values specifically, although take pride in craft and, inspire connection by creating a memorable experience and take responsibility for everything in your world are specifically kind of our values. Not kind of, part of our values. So how do those 3 things, how can we make them into daily behaviors, and what maybe might we be working on and have worked on to work on those things, to push those things?
Man.
Or start wherever you want.
These are a big...
It's what makes it fun, and I feel like it's just fucking fire off, No wrong answers,
Well, there's probably some wrong answers.
Not for discussion's sake, though. We can always figure those out later. People like discussion.
So really, question 1 is asking how you're translating values into action.
Yeah, a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And turning it into kind of a culture of
Because
action.
the three pride, connection, and whatever, those could be switched out for anything. Whatever your values are.
Sure.
If you have a value of, I don't know, pick your values.
But we have ours that kind of fit into these places, even though it's craft related, right? And then mission related via connection, and then taking responsibility.
I think for things to stick in any meaningful way and actually become a part of the culture, they need to be reinforced in essentially everything that you're doing.
Yeah.
So 1, if you're starting from the top, they need to be known by all and well defined. So, because when you have a set of values and they're just single words, like you say pride or connection, it's important to define what that means to your organization and also what that might look like in action for any given department in an organization.
Amen, brother.
So if we took any one of our values, that value might get applied, like artistry. Let's take artistry as a value. That value is going to get applied differently. It means something. It's got a definition,
totally.
right? And then it might get applied differently in the cafe, then in the roastery, then in finance, then in marketing, then in sales. It means the same thing, but it's acted upon differently in different departments.
Yeah, very important to note that the action still matches up with the meaning and the intention of. Right. Very important for you all to hear that clearly.
Right. And sometimes it feels more obvious, like, okay, what does hospitality look like in a retail-based environment?
Yeah.
We might not all know. And I say we might not all know because I don't really get great hospitality most places I go.
Right.
But we can kind of close our eyes and imagine what hospitality might look like in the retail department. It might be a little bit more fuzzy when we're trying to assess what does hospitality look like in our partner program or our wholesale program. What does hospitality look like with our...
Maybe like a web order or something like that.
Yeah, with the roastery, web order stuff. So I think defining the big umbrella idea, and then if you were going to drop it into orientation or different versions of orientation, it'd be nice to paint a picture of here's what we mean, and here are a few examples of how this gets acted upon here. So that if like most people come into our organization through the retail door, some come in through the roastery door, but most of them come in through the retail door. So a lot of that orientation is framed up under retail. You've got some examples of how things work in day-to-day service. But if you were transitioning into another department, it would make sense to have some sort of orientation for that department.
Yeah, you definitely need department training.
That would, again, reinforce all of those values in the new way that you would be applying them.
Yeah, and you already know them, so it should be easy for you to take them on if you're transitioning in that way.
And then really, it's just like, it would be cool. We talked about doing this. We haven't quite done it yet, but it'd be nice to have departmental orientations before people actually worked in those departments.
I think
you know what I mean. So where it's like if you were in retail, you would still understand how the values work in the roastery, just so you understand what everybody else is doing, how we're delivering on this mission, because we're part of an organization, not just an individual working in a department by ourselves. We have like a bigger picture thing that we're going towards.
No, I very much agree with you. I think there's like the two parts that I think about when you're talking about transitioning to different departments, and we could argue this a little bit for each retail cafe too, is that they all have, under the umbrella of our specific mission, inspire connection by creating memorable experiences, there's kind of the sub-specific mission based on what you're working with in the locations or the department. So it's like, if you took the roastery, for example, you're still trying to inspire a connection by creating memorable experiences, and we have a values system to help support. What we will have to do as good leaders is to paint a picture of what that looks like while doing the work of a lot of roasting something very, very quality driven and systematic. We want to look at what that looks like working as a team in there. Procurement, organization, like the things that you're doing in there are far less physically guest-to-guest centric, but it's still going to have touch points. And that's where the same thing would happen maybe in the context of a cafe, where it's like our Portola Cafe, the original, has very little parking. It's like an open kitchen vibe. There's not a lot of space for people to hang out in. And so there's some things that need to happen there that require a little more focus and attention than a place like Aptos, where we have a ton of seating, a ton of space, a ton of parking all around. And it's like the guest experience needs to be amazing in both. There's specific touch points that take all high priority, but take a little bit higher priority, I'd say, at Portola than at a place like Aptos. So an example might be like the efficiency in taking responsibility of how much time it takes somebody to enter and exit with a great experience. And that sounds very simple and cold at that statement, but there's a lot of intention and beauty if you're thinking about our values and mission being lived out at Portola. That needs to happen fairly quickly because there's not a lot of space for other people to park and come in. We want more people to be able to experience it. So efficiency and speed of service becomes important in the context of taking care of people.
It's one of those. I don't think that sounds cold at all, and it's one of those catch-22s because speed of service is important everywhere, but just to paint a picture. So if you haven't been to our stores, Portola's building, the whole building's like 1,300 square feet.
Yeah.
But the guest area is much smaller
Like
than
9.
that. Yeah, it's tiny.
Inside, it's like maybe the seat, probably more like 7.
There's not a lot of seats. There are some outlets on the back bar of which you can fit 3 people at, and
Yeah.
it's a hit and run cafe. You can hang out outside. We got a big deck outside.
Vibes are strong,
but it churns, it cranks,
and it has to.
It's a fun show. And then Aptos, much larger space, got a lot of outlets. If you're gonna sit and do work for a couple hours, like Aptos is the place to go.
Yeah,
it's busy for a specialty coffee cafe, but it's a different animal. You want to allow people to choose when they leave or when they get, you know what I mean? You don't want
them to also be worried about needing to leave.
You don't want to hold them hostage.
Yes.
You want to give them the opportunity to engage at the level that they want to engage with and not be stressed out about like, what the frick is taking so long? I'm not trying to sit in this line for an hour, or it's like, 15 minutes before I get my drink. What's going on?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Every space has its own little quirks. My biggest thing is, not my biggest thing. One of the shining examples is Portola versus Swift.
Right.
Swift, if you're at the barista station, it's very far away from the front entrance to the building.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got a lot of ground to cover as a barista. So to provide the same intimate level of service, it requires a whole different level of energy and attentiveness, where it's like at Portola, you can't help but see the guests as they're coming in. It's very easy to do a greeting from the bar, no matter where you are.
Absolutely.
You could talk to someone because there's a little window that opens up where the espresso machine is. Mm-hmm. So you could have a conversation with someone outside on the deck. You could easily have a conversation with someone in the very back of the cafe, which is not far away, or the back of the line from the barista station. It's pretty chill. You cannot do that at Swift.
No.
You've got 3 times the amount of space to cover. And just a very spread out situation.
Right.
So to provide the same experience requires doing something a little differently. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're seeing when you're like different, those are different examples in a retail space.
Right.
And then switching departments is a whole different thing. It's like, how the heck is Michael Matthews living up to our values right now? You know what I mean? He's doing the mail in a very specific way.
He's helping.
He's going to get those bills paid. He's eating his hummus.
He's not even taking a lunch, and
it's no big deal. He brought his family to work. Dude, it's happening right now.
People helping people.
But I think, so you've got that, you're setting that tone by identifying values, explicitly defining them, giving examples of how they work in every department and every space.
And that's the starting point.
That's the starting point. And then you really, the tricky part is using them in day-to-day decision making, and
that's on leadership
like
next.
Activating on them when you're having any kind of conversation, whether that's a feedback conversation of something like serious that happened, or just day-to-day coaching, is just, everything, any slice of the whole should reflect like the big picture values. So you don't want to we have these values and then have this conversation. Hey man, you're doing this wrong. Oh, why? Because you're doing it wrong. Yeah. It's like, okay, cool. Heard.
Right.
But missed opportunity on how does this align with, artistry? Like you're working behind the bar. Hey, we're outside of this extraction window here. This is not going to work. Well, it's just one shot. Like it's no big deal. It's like having those conversations in the context of the values, which is hard in the moment. Or it takes
hard.
Practice.
It takes a lot of practice.
Practice is probably the better way to put it.
And I also think like the more we've been doing a lot of work on the business and how it's all working, but we've been diving deep, and I'm more and more convinced too that it's like my suggestion would be to look at your values and then look at the experience in the cafe. This is in my opinion how you might address like improvement consistently, and look at this is where leaders are important. You have to understand your cafe, you have to know what's going on. So you look at like the overall cafe and say, of our values, based on like the things that we do really special in this cafe that make it a difference, make it special, where's the one big value that is not living up the most right now, and just pick one thing and make it a weekly fix for the whole team. And then the same thing, be it for the team members. It's like if team members are growing and learning, just pick one thing related to one task and work on it all week long until it becomes the next best habit. And it's just keep doing that nonstop. And you can, again, it takes a lot of reflection, it takes a lot of connection, and it takes a lot of honestly, in my opinion, not a lot. It just takes leaders who are focused and looking at the entire picture and how it fits together with, again, if we're good and great at painting pictures of clarity of values and mission, then we can paint a picture of what that looks like prior. Our leaders can be looking at the cafe experience and be like, okay, this is our biggest issue or bottleneck or problem right now as relating to our values and mission. And then every single person you coach, it's the same thing. Don't try to give them like 5 things to work on at the same time. Although I will say, and I've totally been guilty of this, and I think most of us are more often than not, it's give them like 2 to 3 to 5 things to work on at the same time. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that concept. But what I'm starting to learn is that if you and we were to take more focus on less things and essentially apply a proactive learning nonstop every single day until the issue goes away, we might be making a lot more progress.
Yeah, I mean, that resonates with the way I used to do barista training,
Right.
where it's just like coffee nerd, really intense about it. We got to get all of these things right. And now the focus has shifted. So I was going to do an intro barista training.
Right.
My main focus is going to be on delivering a small amount of fundamentals and getting people to have a positive experience and like enjoy the process of learning.
Right.
And then you're just kind of steady stacking like one after another after another. Because like how many things are you really going to process at once? Are you going to...
I've learned 4 just recently is the max.
Yeah, the max.
The max. Yeah. And that's just cognitive processing. That doesn't mean you can turn them into physical.
Right. In the context of, cool, I'm at a cafe doing 300 plus covers a day.
Which is our cafes.
I'm busy.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not just chilling. It's not like I can sit around and be like, okay,
And
like
it's complex work.
what am I going to do with these 5 new things that my leader told me to do while taking care of guests, while keeping the place clean, while doing all the stuff?
Right.
So it's like, small.
Give me one thing to get
small,
better
slow
at.
drip over time.
Yep.
Lock that thing in, or you're just kind of creeping up.
Yeah.
Creep up on the next thing, creep up on the next thing. It's, there's no point in the informational overload because you're always going to have things to fix.
Right. Always.
It's like that Danny Meyer analogy where he's just like in setting the table, or it's like a salt shaker in the middle of the table. And your job is just like, keep that salt shaker in the middle.
Right.
And like, people are just going to kind of push it your way. And you're like,
back to the middle.
It's going to go right here.
Yeah.
It's going to go right here. Just like, not trying to make any crazy changes, just not letting that thing fall off.
Yeah.
Just bring it back to center.
Right. And that even what you said is awesome because it's like the clarity is it's supposed to stay in the middle. And that's a really simple one in the context of salt, but it's like, okay, the salt shaker needs to stay in the middle. It needs to be full, or at least 3/4 full always. And, perfectly, no fingerprints.
Just like a hopper.
Yeah. And so
like
you're
a grinder hopper.
So again, the pre-work has to be that you are clear enough about your guest touch points that are of the most value. Again, this is where it's easy to get overwhelmed, is to name every single guest touch point and try to work on all of them, which, full transparency, you should have. If you want to be an amazing company, you should work on every single potential and at least have logs for your ownership, leadership, every potential guest touch point, which means where does a guest feel, smell, like 5 senses. Do they feel something, smell something, touch something, taste something, hear something? Like, you should have a list of all those things for every single department and every single experience. That doesn't mean that you can nail all of them. What that does, though, do is it gives you a list to indefinitely make your experience better. Then you take that huge list and you go, what are our core major, like, game changer things that are us based on our values and our mission? And then you dive into those things first. You prioritize top to bottom those things. And yes, maybe your 5 to 7 values require you to be good at multiple things, but even in that regard, you have a way to chip away at these things one thing at a time until they are at the highest level they can be. And then you move on to the next one and the next one and the next one. And it gives you and your team endless abilities to engage and get better while continuing to get on the same page. And so I feel it's something that I think we've always like had. And again, we're still, every day is a new day for owners and our company. So we're learning how to be better all the time. But these are all concepts that we've like dabbled with and had in our pockets for a long time. And then as we grow and learn from each other and new people in the world and get experience, we start to figure out how we might apply our work. And there's 2 things. There's an affirmation for us. Like when you and Chuck and I have talked, we do have a lot of like 2/3 baked ideas that are proven and founded from other successful companies that we haven't heard from, or like methodologies, which is really neat. And then now it's like, how do we work to improve, integrate, and activate these things in our businesses? And you all probably have this as well. So keep going in that way. It's a big work, but it's a consistent work. What about question number 2, which is like hospitality and profit?
How does hospitality create profit without losing soul?
It's not the best question. That's a direct like copy paste, but I mean,
well,
and it's not a horrible question. It's just a challenging, like the wording, how it's worded is kind of funky.
Yeah, let's unpack it from a few different angles.
Right.
So it's like, depending on what industry you're in, let's say you're in our industry, hospitality is the only thing that's creating profit for you. Like without hospitality or without creating some sort of experience for your guests to come in, you are toast.
Sure.
Like you're just, it doesn't matter. It's like, I was writing something about this morning. It's like people can wake up, go into their kitchen, fire up their decent espresso machine, pressure profile coffees.
Decent's the brand, not decent like
decent
fairly
is
well
a
made.
brand of espresso machine. I mean, there's multiple espresso machines
No, I know,
now
but when you said pressure profile, that's
that have
from a
pressure
decent.
profiling capabilities. So I was at Mentoni, which is a restaurant in town. I was sitting at the bar, sitting next to some guy, and he picks up this glassware. He's looking at glassware. Then I saw him. He opens up his phone and he's like, "Oh, I wonder if they make espresso cups." Anyway, I think I mentioned this before, but I had just a full-blown conversation with him. He's got 2 espresso machines at home. He's got a Linea Micra, and then he's got some other Gaggia that's modified to do pressure profiling. He's showing me his extraction curves, like pressure, temperature, the whole thing. It's just like people can go full bonkers on coffee from their kitchen. Yeah. Right? This is just it's a thing that's been brewing, but it's like this was never possible 10 years ago. So long story short, you're not winning over guests because of your ability to deliver amazing coffee. The coffee needs to be delicious. Don't get me wrong. You cannot be lazy about it, but that's not the main value proposition that you have. These things are nested inside each other. So if you have incredible coffee or food or whatever, and your experience sucks, no one's going to come. Yeah. Like if you make the best cocktails ever, but treat people like shit, they're not coming. Yeah. Not in enough numbers to make the business viable. Maybe you'll have a few people that just kind of like that vibe, and they're like, they don't mind, but they're going to get best cocktail. It's a fringe group, right? Like that's not a sustainable business model. Or the story will be, we got to go here. It's so good, but man, they are horrible at service. So you got to go try it once. Right. That's probably what the story would be. Yeah. It's not going to become a habit, and it's not going to make a dent in the culture like you want to make a dent in the culture. The only way to make a dent in the culture is by creating something where people want to engage, people want to tell other people about it, people feel genuinely connected to the thing. Like that is our economy right now. Right. If you're in what, people think of as traditionally the service business, it's not a product-driven business. Like good product is the cost of entry into the game. You can't be in the specialty coffee game without roasting awesome coffee. And I think there's variance, right? There's some people who are better than others. Totally. But I don't think when people are picking where they're going, they're looking at, the 5 places in town and being like, oh, who's got the 90 plus and is roasting to almost never. They're not doing that. No. They're looking for general markers. It's not a thing. And what feels like most connected to them. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So it's like you gotta knock the people game out of the park. Yeah. I mean, I went to a place yesterday that is in town, and they're a multi-roaster, and they serve 2 different companies. One that is bigger and is one of the was a front runner in specialty coffee, even in competition scene. And then the other one is like a craft, more local, closer California brand. Both good. But super busy in there. And the espresso is from and I heard the barista explain this, which nobody complained about in there, but like, the one we use for espresso and this brand is like the cheaper brand. It's like not as expensive. And then this other one, it has, these ones with the fruit are co-ferments, which means like they'll soak it. And this is verbatim. He's like, they'll soak for like a week with some like blueberries or like some apples, and it'll like really infuse the flavor like a tea.
And then some of these other ones are a little more expensive because they're like a little rarer, but these ones are going to be the more like direct, simple, and then these are going to be wild. And where I'm going with that is most of the consumers are, to your point, not at all going first and foremost because of what they look up about specifically your quality. And on top of that, if they were going to look up the quality of the coffees used at this place, both of which would be rated very high based on history and how they played in the world of specialty coffee anyway. And I had an espresso. The one from the bigger brand was extremely, extremely dark, like very, very dark and fine, but honestly not what I expected. And that doesn't bother me because I got what I got. Like, I'm okay with all these different styles. I actually am not one of those like, you roast like this, you're a problem. But
you're a problem.
Yeah. Well, I don't associate it with like good or bad companies anymore at all. So all that to say, people are for sure going to go where it makes them feel the most connected to the experience. And there's a bunch of factors that go into that. Hospitality is like pretty huge one though, because it's something that makes you feel something.
I mean, it's the one.
Yeah, it's the one.
I mean, if you were going to, build a pyramid,
sure,
a little food pyramid, or my business is in business pyramid, that's somewhere near the top, probably right on the top.
It's definitely one of the most important things you can do. And you need to be wary that hospitality doesn't mean that you only build something that you would like. You have to build something that you can showcase your beliefs, dreams, and desires in a way that is able to be received by more than just like you and the people who get your perspective only. I mean, that's an art.
It's like putting a dinner party on.
Yeah.
If you put on a dinner party, what's the main goal of the dinner party? The main goal of the dinner party is to have people come to your house and to have everybody have a good time.
Yeah.
That's the main goal.
And say you're a meatitarian. What are that? Like that? That's you. Are you going to give them all meat?
Sure. It's like, I love going to the butcher shop.
Right.
But does that mean if I have a vegan friend,
sorry,
my friend April's coming over, she doesn't eat meat?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to have something for her.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to take care to just... Because again, it's not a thing where it's just like, come in and look at me.
Right.
Look at how cool I am. Right. It's like, I am doing this thing for everybody.
Right.
This is for your enjoyment.
Yeah.
Right. And then because of that, I get enjoyment out of having other people enjoy the experience. Right. It's a giving is its own gift kind of thing. So I mean, it's gotta be up there. So
I was just thinking about that, the whole hospitality thing in the context of like diet fads and trends, and how like some of them work amazing for some people and some of them don't for others, and how it's like everybody in those, especially coffee, is like that to me, where it's like when people found paleo for the first time, the ones that it really, really helped with versus the ones who like didn't see any major changes in their lives. The ones who are all about it were like, this is the only way. You got to do it. Everybody, you got to paleo it up. And then there are people who need just like people are complex. It maybe works for some, but it doesn't work perfect for others. And then veganism works for some where it doesn't work for others. And there's the fruitarians, like some of them, whether it's long-term true or not scientifically, like there's people who like live in these places and believe in them for their legitimate reasons for themselves and have experiences in these ways that make them feel so amazing. And I hear our specialty coffee world kind of trying to like essentially push recently, well, kind of the whole time really in its own way, out of attempts to, be better, but try to push like one thing. It's like, no, we're keto now.
What do you think? What are like the thing? What do you think the thing that's being pushed right now, or over time? Pushed and talked about is obviously co-ferment world, and like it is what it is. I mean, people are starting to ask about it because it's loud. Yeah,
I don't know if it's necessarily being pushed in the way where you have to have it, meaning like it's. I don't know if I actually hear anybody in our industry talking about it being the best, but they are talking about it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We've had naturals, then we've had the washed world. It's always usually who's the loudest talking about what's best.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. You have these different trends. Then you have the et cetera, et cetera. You can kind of pick different things. But that's just how I picture the world of specialty having its polarizing nature at times.
Yeah, I feel like that. The way I couch that is I'm sure that happens in every industry. And I'm almost seeing it as like a generational thing.
Sure.
Where if you look at young people who are up and coming, and you saw this even when we were kids.
Sure.
Every generation wants something that they can claim as their own.
Yeah.
Style, music, the way they dress, like all what the things that they do.
Inclusivity.
They're the
like
things
sustainability.
that make our parents look at us when we were kids and be like, why are you wearing that?
Right.
What kind of music are you listening to?
Sure.
What the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah.
And that cycle perpetuates because we want something like, this feels like mine.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's isolated to just generations of like, kids that are up and coming. I think that's every industry.
Yeah, that's
you've got a whole
humanitarian.
crop of people coming into an industry because they resonate with it in some sense, but then they want something that's like, this is my movement, this is our generation's movement within the industry right now, and I can latch on to that.
Yeah.
It's so I don't know if that's true or not. That's just kind of how I see it. Where it's just like, okay, cool. There's a specialty coffee game. There are some established rules, regulations, cultural norms. So what's the stamp that I can run with this and say like, this is my shit?
Yeah.
And
that co-ferment right now is one of the new. Anaerobic touched it a little bit, and then for the reasons they came out originally, and like the depth of reasoning as to why these concepts were ever made isn't necessarily like the most important conversation I've heard, even though it could be really great.
Yeah, and quality is not necessarily an important part of that cultural conversation.
No.
Even though we want, we will say that we want to have coffees of X caliber or whatever. I think saying that it's about the best coffees, that's not what's happening. Everyone's looking for something interesting, new, fresh that they can claim. That's what's happening right now. So,
I do think there's a chance that some are trying to take coffees that would never be like, call it, I'm going to make up a number, but like, I think some people are trying to take an 81 point coffee and add things to it to make it an 83 or an 84 to make more money.
Oh,
which that's what I'm saying.
For sure.
Just like poke the hole in the quality specific. It isn't related to quality coffee exactly like you're saying, but it is an attempt to improve.
I'm saying it's not. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think we've seen that for a long time, especially with just normal naturals back in the day, where naturals have certain flavor characteristics.
Yep.
They're all kind of big, fruity, punchy flavors that are easily identifiable, and because they're so aggressive with that flavor, it's easy to pass off bad ones for good because they kind of do, if you're talking the difference between 81 and 85,
right?
Your average guest or consumer is not going to be able to tell the nuance there. They're not going to be able to tell the difference. They're going to taste, this smells like blueberries. It's nice and fragrant. It's something interesting and fun, and it's kind of sweet. So it's like I could package up low quality naturals all day, sell them to people who don't know better, and they're still going to get the same level of enjoyment as they would out of something that's like legendary.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
we've seen that the whole time.
I know.
And they might even, and often do, prefer those lower quality naturals to much higher quality super clean wash coffees that'll score high 80s.
Yeah, potentially.
Because these are easily identifiable.
Yeah.
Because these are normal people. They're not like nerds like us.
No, I know. I do have this general question that I wish I could get answered with some data and some like actual honesty across the board, which is like with those insane, crazy co-ferments, I'm like wondering how many people are like coming back for them week after week, or how many of them are, I'm not saying because of the experience, but doing what I said about like that bar that has like the best cocktail in the world, but the worst service. And this is not to correlate worst service, best bar, but like, are they getting it like going like, you got to try this. Mm-hmm. That was fun. Or are people like, do we have cult followers of these coffees? And if you are listening to this and you have some sort of insight, I would love to have like write in and tell us what you observe, not just what you think based on like the internet and what we see, because the internet's painting a picture of like, for me, what I see on the internet at least is a lot of pro co-ferments, and I'm not pro or negative. We have one, and there are some that are good, and there are some that are legitimately undrinkable for me, and like so gnarly.
Well, and some are undrinkable. So that Mirador that we have, the pink champagne one, when we were doing the test roast of it, I was making espresso out of it, and I was on a warpath with it for 3 days. That's like all I was drinking, just singles, and it's just so alive and juicy
fun.
and it's
It's
fun
espresso.
and it's interesting as espresso.
Yeah.
But once I kind of got it out of my system,
Right.
I didn't feel the need to go back.
And that's what I'm wondering.
And then it was brewed 2 days ago in the cafe.
Right.
I got a full mug of it, and after 2 ounces, I was just done.
Right.
It's not that it didn't taste good. It did. I'm like, dude, this is so much. There's no way I could do that every day.
So this is
no chance.
That's why I want to know, because take away like the goal in my mind being we want to sell more specialty coffee. And what I've said over and over again is that farmers do not care how we roast their coffee. They care that it's loved and sold. And that in a great world, the world that we want to have, at least at Cat and Cloud, that we have an actual connection and partnership with those farmers and there's some value. What I wonder is if what you just said means that a lot of people and farmers are going to be investing in what it takes to make co-fermented coffees. And again, maybe the win, I'm just throwing out the stuff. Maybe the win is that they brought a coffee that was an 80 to an 81 up to an 84 and are selling it where they wouldn't before. Maybe. So that could be the win, just to like throw it out there. But is the other side of it, are we helping people invest in something that is going to come and go and then they're going to be like, shit.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I don't know either.
You could
These
say
are
the
questions.
same thing about naturals because there was a whole movement, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
People were transitioning into doing naturals who normally didn't in climates that aren't super friendly.
Right. So that would be the challenge
to that
there.
kind of processing. Right. And then you're on a ride to let the market figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I
know it's a sidebar, but at least naturals originally were trying to be like less labor intensive. When you talked about those caveats of wetter areas, now they have to have infrastructure to make sure they're done well, or put in the work maybe in sprints to make sure it goes well.
Yeah.
TBD.
And it's just, naturals are just a riskier play
Absolutely.
overall if
And
you're trying
quality.
to drive towards a certain quality number because you just have less control.
Yeah.
The coffee's sitting there.
Totally.
Like, okay, you got it covered. Yes, you're turning it, all those things.
Right.
But it's like, dude, Mother Nature's still driving your train.
Mother Nurture.
You're not hitting it with a depulper and sending it to the fermentation tank. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not happening. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's
I don't know either.
I think those
are just questions
there's also
that I live with.
farmers are opting in at their own. There's people who want to be experimenting with those kinds of things, right? And
I think so, but I genuinely believe that a lot of us buyers and cafe owners go in and really influence what farmers think they need to do, whether we're right or wrong. And I'm not going to say too much more on that because it's everybody's different. Everybody has an opinion.
It's hard.
It might be working for some, and it might not be working for others. So like I believe my statement's true, but not the outcome. I don't have an outcome value factor to add.
It's interesting because we're such a small sector of the overall coffee producing industry. You know what I mean? Like, what percentage of coffee do you think is co-fermented?
Right.
Like, not even 1%?
Yeah, no, probably not. But what percent of coffee, especially coffee, at least, or what?
I guess
percent
what percentage of coffee is specialty? Probably
sure. There's also
question.
that, but I was more going with like what percent of the world is talking about coffees. What percent, especially coffee? Geez, I can't get this out. Is speaking about co-ferments and like crazy high-end specialty like Esmeralda E or anaerobic E. Like, is the conversation all about those? Mostly loud, and that is like, is it an 80-20 in the wrong way? And that's a question too. I don't know.
I can't tell.
I have no idea.
I don't think that what you hear on social is a representation of what the world actually is. So
these are questions that I wonder about.
I think, there's probably a lot of people talking about co-ferments. Like, how many coffee shops have you actually been in where there's a large portion of the menu dedicated to that? For me, it's 0.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Almost none.
Like I just don't see it.
I would
anywhere.
say like 1 of 10 for me,
if that. Yeah.
Well, recently, because I did an LA trip.
LA, sure.
So I did an LA trip and I tried a bunch of different cafes that were fun, and then Santa Cruz too. So it was like back to back, and Santa Barbara and Slow. You're right. In the context of all of those, 2 out of probably 10-ish. 2 out of 10. So, anyways, whatever. All right, last portion, and we can just shut our mother effing down. Is like when your culture becomes a competitive advantage. What does it look like? What does it look like and feel like when you're what would you notice if you started winning, basically, based on your culture?
I mean, it's really similar to the last question,
because
in the sense that if you're in a guest focused, if you're in the hospitality business, like taking care of your guests makes the most sense. So hospitality is creating your profit, and the same thing. It's like culture is your number one.
Well,
how are you framing it? Keep going.
Here's where I'm going. It's like it becomes ubiquitous in my opinion. So where I'm going there is when it's done well, like In-N-Out, yeah, they pay well. Chick-fil-A. These are companies that got extremely huge based on Zingerman's, places like that. They got very, very large based on concepts relating to culture and hospitality. And those things are successful because the team felt like they were a part of it, as did the guests. So to me, a competitive advantage in culture becomes super clear. There becomes like a through line and clarity between leadership, team members doing what they do, and guest experience. And they're all moving towards the same things, which the advantage to me looks like probably more retention, more engagement, more fun. Well, this is just where I'm going with with my response to it. I didn't get to pre-think, but it's just like what popped into my head. And then obviously, yeah, the guests are repeat guests, and you're going to be busy. You're going to be probably hearing feedback from guests about something relating to your mission and values if you're doing a good job, and that you'd be able to depict based on them saying you did a great job with, one of the things we hear a lot is you consistently find amazing people. You consistently make me feel like you actually want me here. Those are sweet. Those are great wins. Even though we both know as owners we're working towards delivering the experience that we still want, we're still doing a good job and we're on the path. So these are things that I think you as people out there doing whatever you do might be able to see. Am I trying to put together an intentional culture? What would be the advantage there? Well, I've based on the feedback things that I hear right then, two things are true. One, they didn't talk about quality even though I want them to. So I want them, and I do hear this sometimes, you have the best coffee, the answer is the best blend, whatever. I do hear that here and again. But the
90% of the time it's about the people.
It's about the people. So that is two good things that relate to our values, which means great. Like those places we need to continue to lean into. And then if we have other values that do relate to other things like culture and stuff, maybe we could try to work on small metrics, meaning like, can we start hearing people talk a little bit more about something relating to our coffee? It could be anything, right? As long as it's positive. And that is kind of what I think about. Like the competitive advantage means that you're paying attention and you're doing something that is resonant with the whole. I don't know. I do know. That's what I feel like. I don't know.
I do know.
Culture eats strategy for breakfast. But that's not exactly true. You need strategy to have culture. Sorry, Drucker.
Sorry, D.
Big D.
I mean, that would still be true. I mean, look, every business has a culture.
But do they all have breakfast?
They all have culture, right?
Yeah.
It's like even the lack of a set of clearly defined values, a lack of systems,
is a culture.
That's a culture.
Right.
Like, culture doesn't have to be
documented,
written down to be like, it exists everywhere. It's more about what kind of culture you're trying to create.
I guess Peter Drucker's right that way,
and then creating, or attracting people who resonate with that culture.
Right.
Because that's what we're really trying to do. It's just like, we want guests to come and have a great time. And there are some guests who would have a better time other places, and that's fine.
Sure.
But, like, we're just trying to be very intentional about the experience that we're trying to create.
Totally.
And I think to do it at this level, you have to have both, right? We have to explicitly state what, like, the culture that we're trying to build.
Yeah.
We have to have systems that allow people to carry on that culture in the absence of you, me, and Charles not physically being in the room.
Yep.
Like, they need to understand it as well as we understand it. They need to
Values
know how
they
need to know how they can put it into action every day. It can't just be like an idea, like, oh yeah,
Totally.
inspire connection by creating memorable experiences. That sounds cool. okay, fucking how do I do it?
Yeah.
What does it look like when we're doing it well
What's the
versus what does
action?
it look like when we're not doing it
Yep.
well? You know, and
mission, values, touch points. Keep going, dude.
right. So it's
Boom.
like building a stack of those things that resonates with you, and then you have these interesting. You got cultural quirks that are going to be just for you that are operating in these bigger umbrellas. Like I think hospitality is kind of like a blanket umbrella.
Yeah, we have
Where there's different
define it
ways
for
to
us.
engage hospitality and do it in the way that you want to do it. So like the most annoying example I can think of about, you know, a specific hospitality culture is someplace like Cafe Gratitude.
Oh,
my
yeah.
God, how fucking annoying would it be to go to Cafe Gratitude? It's like, geez, get me the fuck out of there, dude. I don't want to go. Get out of here. But they have a specific
Some
play, a
people love it.
specific mission. You know, this is their culture of
Yeah.
hospitality.
Yeah.
Right?
And some people love it. Or like dharmas
Right.
for me.
And that's the dream, is not to have something that is just completely generic. So it's like, it's for everybody. If we can be really specific in the thing that we do, we're going to attract the people that really resonate with it and love it the most.
Hey everyone, that's the podcast for the week. Thanks so much for listening. If you heard something that inspired you, or if you heard something that gave you more questions than answers, send us an email to podcast@catandcloud.com. And if you're looking to know more about us, then head to our website at catandcloud.com, where you can find everything we have to offer. A great place to start would be The Answer, our house coffee that's right for any occasion. Or the Best Friends Blend, a coffee that tastes just as good as the good it does by donating $1 per pound back to our partnering producers. Also, if you're feeling extra friendly, connect with